So today I wanted to talk a little bit about Rigetti Computing and mainly why I decided to sell all the shares that I owned. Now, up until about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was long on Rigetti Computing. I really did love the company. I bought in and I made videos on it around when it was around $8, and I was just hoping to hold it for multiple years. Yeah, I actually bought it way back here, early January. And I kind of rode it all the way and all the way up to 60. And I watched it hit 60 and I was really happy. And then I also watched it drop down a little bit and kind of rise back up. So I was still very happy with the company. From the start, I knew that it wasn't, it wasn't a profitable company. It wasn't one that was making really any revenue. It was really just based on where I thought quantum computing could go. And I was convinced from what the CEO was saying that this would be a really powerful company in the next, 5 years. And I had the time to kind of sit it out. But I after seeing their recent earnings report, I decided to sell all of my shares. And, there are a couple of reasons for that. The main one, if you just kind of scroll down to their earnings here, just a basic overview of it, is that they're really losing a ton of cash. This quarter alone, they lost more than 200 million in cash, which is crazy. And I remember the CEO saying before, if you look at their cash holdings here, their cash holdings, while they are rising because they did do a bunch of stock offerings, so they did have currently have 445 million in cash. But again, that 200 million in loss for the net income is going to take a big bite out of that cash, and they're going to have to probably keep doing these stock offerings if they want to stay afloat. And that was really the biggest scary thing to me, that kind of said in reality, like, oh, this company could definitely go bankrupt. And that's kind of where I just decided to pull the trigger and just sell all my shares, because, there is definitely a world, I think, where Rigetti Computing does rise back up to 60 just based off, hype and people getting excited again. But it did see this huge drop from 60 all the way to the, almost $20, which is a huge drop. We're not just talking a tiny little pullback, maybe in terms of Rigetti, that is, but it was a huge drop. And I think that investors are definitely worried about the cash and the fact that they probably are going to go, or they might go bankrupt before they can actually have any use or make any revenue. Because right now, you look at the revenue here, they made $1 million last quarter in revenue. It's only getting worse. I mean, the revenue, it's only really getting worse here. So there's no signs of the technology being used right now at this moment for anything that could be, helpful to their revenue. It's really only getting worse. So that's not really like a good sign. And then their net income is also only getting worse, and it doesn't seem to be showing any signs of getting better in any of these quarters. So, it's just kind of a mixture of the fact that they don't have that much cash on hand to be able to deal with all these really miserable quarters, because what these are, the last few quarters have just been really, really bad quarters that have been disguised, when I listened to the earnings calls, as steps in the right direction, because they're signing deals with these research firms to, research quantum computing, whatever. And that could end up really paying off. But for me, I think there's a lot of more safe bets in the market. I made videos on them in the past, and even more safe small cap bets if you really want to be risky. But I just get nervous, when I want to hold a stock for, 5-10 years or even more than that. I want to make sure they're going to be there in 5 or 10 years, even if their returns aren't that good. And Rigetti might not be there. That's really the point that I took away from that. The revenues are really bad right now, and their net income is also really bad. And their cash on hand is going to get less and less unless they spend more stock. So unless they do more stock offerings. So that's just my take on it. The technology could be, magically in like a year or two, they could hit the jackpot and they could start making 100 million in revenue a quarter because they, really found something. But as of right now, it doesn't look like the technology is anywhere near ready to actually be contributing to their revenues. So I decided to, completely sell my position, and I just moved the money to other, I think, better investments for the long term. Short term, Rigetti could be, maybe a technical play. It could rise back up a little bit, but long term, I'm out. So let me know what you think in the comments about Rigetti, if you're maybe still long, and you could try to convince me otherwise. But otherwise, I'm staying out of Rigetti. So if you like this video, please subscribe, and see you next week.